Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Ahwanith and today we'll be going to another video and another lesson. Today is a special day because we finally moved on from our property series, which was a long series. So now I'll be looking at square roots. And you might be thinking, how does square go into mathematics? Well, you thought I had the answer. I really don't. I know that there's an answer for it, but I don't quite remember right now. So we're just gonna move on. So let's look at the meaning of square root. Meaning, square root of a number is a value that when multiplied by itself gives a number. So if you didn't understand that, no worries. Just like our previous videos, we will come back to this sentence and see what each part actually meant, incorporated with our examples. So let's move on to our examples. So I'm going to act example okay. So let's look at some parts of a square root. So I'm going to part the square root. So let's learn the names. The sign you see here, let me just draw it out for you guys. The blue line that you'll see here that's overlying the black line, this is called the radical sign. That is basically what we do, the square root. And this 2 means square root, but this 2 means the square root, but tohan tumi ei sign ta use korso, সেই sign আমি দেখাইলাম, তখন তোমার 2 টা লেখা লাগে না. So after we use this sign, normally when you're using the sign, it already means square root of 2, like square root, not cube root or anything. So you don't normally have to put 2 unless you're doing cube root or something else. So if you're doing square root, this sign should be enough. So তখন তুমি সাইনটা ইউজ করলা, তোমার 2 লেখা লাগে না, because it automatically 2 ভাবে না, unless তুমি 3 cube root করতেছো instead of square root. So let's look at the number inside. The number that's becoming rooted, as I would like to say it. So it's called the radicand. There's 24 inside of the sign. So this will become rooted. So now let's move on to our examples. Example Ajay. Okay, we have a couple of examples here. So let's look at what they equal to. The root of 9, the square root of 9 equals to 3. You might hear things like cube root, but those are different. Those will give you a different value. So this is a square root. So the square root of 9 is 3. But how come is it 3? Kemne 3 square root of 9. So let's see what a square root's opposite is. So a square root's opposite, as it says in our description, it says square root of a number is a value that when multiplied by itself, so the same number being multiplied by itself. So let's look at 3. What's 3 times 3? We all should know this. It's 9. So if you don't really comprehend the square root is basically the opposite of that. What two numbers multiplied with each other equals to 9. So like if 3 multiplied by itself has to equal to that. So what a square root is, two numbers that is the same number multiplied to each other has to equal to the radicand. Then it's a perfect square. That means it can be rooted. So abar boli banglaয়, so তখন 3 times 3 same number multiply হলে তখন 9 দেয়, two of the same number. So a square root হচ্ছে একটা opposite. So square root of 9 equals 3 because square root means what two numbers that are the same numbers will equal to the number inside one multiply. তখন multiply হবে ওই দুই number, same number, but দুইটা এই number ভিতরে সেটা হবে. So let's look at another one. The square root of 16. So what two numbers that are the same number equal to 16? We just did 3 times 3. That equals to 9. So we know it's not anything below that because 16 is a greater number than 9. So what's the other number? 4. We can see here that 4 is the correct answer, but let's see how we got 4. আমরা দেখি কেমনে 4 ছিল নাম্বারটা। So what is 4 times 4? Well, 4 times 4 equals to 16. This is simple multiplication. So by this time you should get a bit of hang of what a square root is. So I'm really don't boost us account square root ki. It's the number inside she number bhitar ase. If you square root it, it should equal to a number. So তখন একটা square root করলে ওই নাম্বারটা should equal to a number, সেটা হচ্ছে equal to a number that when it's multiplied by itself it will equal to the radicand here. So let's look at one more example before we look at some different components of a square root. So we have 81 square root. So what two numbers multiplied with each other equals to that number? It has to be the same number. So since we know this is much greater than 16, let's just move up. What's 10 times 10? 10 times 10 is 100. We see that this is less than 100. So let's not do 11 times 11. Let's do 9 times 9. What do we get? 81. So the square root of 81 is 9. So let's see how. 9 times 9 equals to 81. Sorry for a messy drawing. It's been a couple of episodes that we have been using this whiteboard new setting instead of a whiteboard that used to be you see the picture over there? Yeah, a whiteboard used to be there. So if you saw me in the absolute beginning of this channel, of this Facebook account, you'd see there used to be a whiteboard back there and we should do it there. Not from this distance, but it used to look different. So now let's look at some different things, aspects about square root. From square root, a different aspect dekhe. So what do we have here? We have the square root of 25. So what is the square root of 25? Since we did a lot of examples back there, we're just gonna see the answer. It's 5. So 5 times 5 equals to 25. So the square root of 25 would equal to 5. So again, what is the square root? So the radicand inside this, let's go back to the parts. So the radicand inside the radical sign needs to, when it's completely solved, if it's a perfect square, that means two numbers that are the same numbers multiply can equal to the number the radicand is. That means this whole thing is a perfect square. So if we move here again, so what is two of the same numbers multiplied with each other equals to 25? 5. So I hope you guys getting the hang of this now. If you guys aren't getting the hang of it or any have slight questions, make sure to inbox me and I'll make sure to reach out back to you, or I'll make another video especially for you and explaining the process that you got confused about, because I know you wouldn't be the only person if you got confused. So let's look at some different aspects. You might say, how come all these numbers are positives? If you didn't realize from what we did, আমরা তো এই নাম্বারগুলো সব পজিটিভ কেমনে হয়, এই নাম্বার যে আমরা কেমনে হইলো না বুঝলে, we have a different way of saying it. So when we have a negative in front of the radical sign, that means whatever the number inside, when square rooted, then you add a negative to it. But that's different than this. Actually, that will be part of a later series. I think that this would be too complicated. I'm already putting a lot I'm putting a new theory and a new mathematical sign into you guys' head, so I don't want to get too confused for you guys. So let's look at it again. A negative sign. So we after we do it, we put a negative. But like this 25 here, just saying this 25, it also equals to a -5. And you're like, how? Like those are two completely different numbers. But let's see how this works. Oh, sorry about that. I thought I clicked move. Okay. So we have 5 times 5 equals to 25. But if you guys remember the rule that we looked at in a previous property series, we also know that a negative number, let's say -1 times -1 equals to a +1. Oh, that is a completely different sign. So let me move that. So, like, how does also negative work? Let's just use the first example. A -5 multiplied by -5. The two negatives, think about it this way, the two negatives make a plus sign. So like when you're multiplying two negatives, it will become a positive. This is like a whole thing. So like if it's -5 times -5 equals to +25. But if you multiply it again with a -5, that makes the number is going to be a negative. So if it's on an odd level of multiplication, like odd numbers getting multiplied, and they're all negative, it's gonna result in a negative. And if it's even, and both of them are negatives, it will become a positive. So that's why both -5 and 5 is the answer to the square root of 25. So we can see here, we see a plus sign before it and a negative sign before it. So what does this mean? So when you see this in assignment, assignment if there's a negative sign in front of it, that means your teacher or anybody else wants to see the answer in negative. So if there was no sign in front of it, like here, you see no sign here, but you see a negative sign here, that means they just want to see the positive number. Here, if they just want to see the positive number, that means that they want to see the 5. But if there is a negative sign in front of it, then they want to see the negative result. So which would be -5, because they both work, but they want to see the negatives or negative they could check. So, but if they have both plus and negative, that means you write the same signs in front of the number, because that number works both ways and they want to see both ways. So you write the same in front of it. So I hope you guys understood. If you guys have any questions, make sure to inbox me. I'll make a whole another episode lesson for you. Or if you don't want that, just make sure to tell me that. Just reply back to me. So without further ado, here's the end card. I know you guys got a little sneak peek there, but I got pretty bad at not showing you guys a sneak peek. I think I showed you guys a bit, like a few previous episode, but that was it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like, follow me on this page, and there I also have a YouTube channel. Many of you guys I don't think noticed that, and I'll make sure to link it if I can to the post I'm going to do on this video. So make sure to leave a like, follow me on this page, follow me on my YouTube channel. It has the same title as this page for the channel name, and see you guys next time. Peace.